What is the craziest conspiracy theory that you secretly believe in? Story 1. Build-A-Bear came out with a bunch of new toys that were all of the same shade of yellow right after their Minion launch severely underperformed. They had stockpiled yellow fabric in anticipation of the Minion toys selling well and getting a big production run and had to find a way to use it all. Story 2. Ireland began deliberately entering bad songs into the Eurovision Song Contest in the 90s. After winning it consecutively for a few years, it began getting too expensive to host, so they sabotaged their chances of winning it. Story 3. I believe Ask Reddit is actually a data farming operation that is being used to feed AI algorithms in order to produce more effective propaganda, social control mechanisms, etc. But what do I know? Story 4. This is dumb, but my mother believes that the coffee grinder machines at the gas station are fake, as in they make a lot of noise just to make you think what you're getting is fresh coffee. When it's grinding the beans, you never see the beans move. We called the gas station and the employee said he doesn't know how the coffee makers work since a third party refills them up or changes the flavors. I've called her crazy, but slowly I'm getting sucked into it, simply because it's fun. Story 5. That the Kardashian sisters keep their brother chubby so they can use his fat for their injections. Story 6. I don't know about definitely believe in, but I do wonder if the government spread 9/11 conspiracies in order to cover the fact that they basically had all the pieces of the puzzle, but due to the three-letter agencies not sharing intel with each other, we missed it. Story 7. Paul Pierce shit his pants during the 2008 NBA Finals. He sat on the floor apparently injured until he was taken off the court in a wheelchair, and returned minutes later completely fine. Sitting on the floor and leaving in a wheelchair stopped anybody from seeing his dookie stains. Story 8. This is dumb LMAO. There is a man who lived and worked as a teacher where I'm from in NC. His name was Peter Stuart Ney. It was during the early 1800s. There's a local legend that lives on that this man was in fact one of Napoleon's right-hand men, and fought alongside him even. It's been disproven apparently by the French government over the years. It's just funny how this guy was supposedly executed in 1815, just to show up over in NC as a teacher with the same surname and military expertise just 1 year later. They say he was a skilled fencer, and he had precise military knowledge even though he was just a teacher for the local school system. Allegedly, on hearing news about Napoleon's only son dying, he set the newspaper on fire and almost slashed his own throat in a fit of rage. On his deathbed he supposedly confessed to being one Marshal Michel Ney, the bravest of the brave, according to Napoleon. Wild story, but part of me just fully fucking believes it's crazy enough to be true. Records indicated he had shown up in Charleston, South Carolina in 1816, just a year after this Michel Ney was executed in France. It's just a crazy story. Story 9. Oh, my favorite is the New Coke conspiracy, which says that Coca-Cola decided to introduce a new flavor of Coke dubbed New Coke, as a psyop essentially to distract consumers from the substitution of high-fructose corn syrup in place of sugar in Coke. After 6 months of New Coke, they brought back the original Coke Classic, but most couldn't tell the difference, and it could be written off as an industrial side effect, etc. This allowed them to use the significantly cheaper corn syrup and increase profits without changing price. Story 10. The Empty Internet Conspiracy. A large part of the population of the Internet, and thus a large part of interactions on the Internet, are completely fake. Just faceless chatbots tooling around, generating social media posts, YouTube comments, and opinion articles on news sites. With the rise of AI-generated essays and research papers, it's becoming easier to draw lines between those papers and how random news articles can read in a way in which a human would never write. Story 11. We've had legitimate eco-friendly fuel options to power our vehicles, but big oil companies, some of the richest businesses in the companies in the world, have destroyed or stifled them before they've gone public. And I don't mean eco-friendly infrastructure, I mean a truly green engine. Any other eco-friendly options that we know of, i.e. electric cars or even bicycles, either already existed or they allow to exist because they're not a threat. Story 12. I don't know if it's that crazy, but I believe 100% that the biggest use case for NFTs is money laundering. It's perfect. No one can say this picture of an ape isn't worth $10,000, and unlike art, you can make as many of them as you want. I'm pretty dang sure that that's why the set of Trump NFTs sold out in a single day. Not that many dumb people bought a single one for themselves, though I'm sure that also happened, but because that's a way to chuck a large amount of money over a fence in exchange for something that you can't prove isn't worth that amount of money. Story 13. Many global societal events, scandals, conflicts, etc. are engineered by shadow players in order to distract from other more serious occurrences that they are machinating. I appreciate how ridiculous it sounds. It just seems to me that when something weird happens, something dramatic also happens at the same time. Story 14. JFK was assassinated by the CIA. He turned down a proposed false flag attack against American civilians that would have started a war with Cuba. Then 3 months later he was shot. The only suspect was killed in the street, by the government. It just seems a little too perfect. At the very least, Oswald was hired by the CIA. Story 15. I pay my credit card bill in full every month the day I receive the statement. Twice in the past 4 months I have received an email stating that my payment is due today, and they haven't received my payment. This happens occasionally, and I firmly believe the credit card company intentionally fails to mail me a statement expecting to be able to profit off of interest and late fees. Wells Fargo. Story 16. There is a conspiracy that during COVID Kim Jong-un got COVID and passed away, and then got replaced with a look-alike. There was news that he had gotten sick and then hospitalized. There was no news for a while until a week later when he was, miraculously, healed. Pictures of him before and after this look completely different to me. I honestly believe he was replaced. Story 17. The reason the value of Bitcoin spiked after the 2016 and 2020 elections was directly due to foreign countries paying people off. Tell their spies to personally buy BTC at $X, sell at 2x. Pump the price up using shell accounts until the value is 2x. Then sell all at the same price it was bought at. Congrats, you've paid off every single spy, informant, agent, etc., without ever losing a dime, and zero financial paper trail. Story 18. The stock market is legally rigged. You can sell artificial shares that you are supposed to then buy back. When you don't, it's called failures to deliver or FTDs. There are millions and millions of failures to deliver in the stock market, and the SEC is in on it, as is the DCC. The criminal syndicate that oversees all of this uses this to bankrupt companies they want to take over, like Amazon wanting to buy AMC theaters, so they hire a third party to massively short sell and create FTDs that they will never cover. Ever. Nothing to see here, says the SEC. Story 19. Dinosaurs wore pants. 65 million years is a long time. Long enough for metal, cloth, computers, factories to completely disappear. Archaeologists struggle with things 500 years old in most preservation conditions. Human brains, bipedalism, and thumbs led to advanced intelligence in 7 million years. Dinos had a lot longer, and you will never convince me they did not invent and use pants. Story 20. I believe that a handful of real estate corporations have been intentionally driving up house prices to squeeze the middle class out of existence. When people stop paying interest money to banks because they actually own their residence, that's bad for the bank's cash flow, and we simply can't have that. I bought in 2016 and was on track to start accelerating how I can pay it off, until I was informed this year that my home has doubled in value and my tax liability is going from $4,000 to $8,000 per year. They want me to fall behind on payments, so I have to sell my home to them and start renting.